Welcome back to a survivor's guide to This War of Mine. Today we will be going over the church. This location has two possible scenarios. The first is the raiders, and the second is the priest and the faithful. The first is very dangerous, and the second can be dangerous if you're not careful, but should be fine. In the first scenario, with the bandits, you'll encounter a bandit in the main part of the church, so I'd recommend taking someone who is able to fight effectively. Initially, you'll have to climb over the entranceway before seeing a man ransacking through a couple of crates at the front of the altar. With a strong character like Roman, you can backstab him in one and loot his body. He is holding a shotgun and bullets. As this bandit is facing away from you until you attack him, this is one of the easiest places in the game to get a shotgun. Once the first bandit is dead, you can head down into the basement. You have two choices from here. One, you can use a saw blade to break through underneath and use a shovel to clear the rest of the rubble, or two, you can try to get across the main garden. The basement will let you be undetected, but here I am going to try the garden. I climb up and get spotted before I can jump into a hiding place. This isn't too much of an issue though, as you can run back down and have the guy follow you. He waits for a few seconds in the garden but then does come down and walks right past the hiding place. This guy has a pistol and more ammo for you to use. I then return to the garden and lie in wait for another bandit. A quick backstab dispatches them, but this will likely alert another guard. If you are quick, you can repeat the method we used for the second bandit, running back to a hiding place in the first basement. Unfortunately for me, this guy was too wise, so he started to leave after not finding me. Therefore, I let him get to the top of the ladder and then shot him. This alerts him again and he runs right past my hiding spot. There is one last guy who is trying to get away by loitering at the back exit. They don't put up much of a challenge though, so I dispatch them easily. Roman is then free to loot this area to his heart's content. The most valuable items that you can access at this point are the meds that are under the beds downstairs. There are a few areas restricted behind saw blades and locked doors, so it is worth returning with a scavenger to clear the rest. When you do return with a scavenger, the highlights are some pure alcohol in the church's basement. It is worth noting that you can get around using a saw blade, or you can go underneath and use a shovel to get round to the back. A broken gun and ammo in the far bottom right behind a saw blade, food in the fridge, and some more meds here and there, plus a pistol in the attic. Besides all that, there are lots of materials and parts, so a pretty good score if you're able to get rid of the bandits. The other scenario is the faithful scenario. In this scenario, you are able to go through the front door and you'll meet Father Oleg. He is a decent trader, but there are plenty of other better places to get useful resources, so probably don't use him for this. His flock, as he calls them, are downstairs in the basement, but before we go through that, we'll go and look at the second building. You can get to the second building across the garden or through the tunnel again, as long as you have the saw blade and shovel. Across the other side, you'll encounter another scavenger. He won't attack you, but you can scavenge here to your heart's content, and he will just kind of do his own thing. If you do decide to go forceful in this method, you can aim a gun at the priest and he will cower. Sometimes this will call everybody up to help and they will all surrender. Otherwise, you have to take out the one armed clergy before looting everything they have. This isn't recommended though, as the morale hit you get isn't really worth the resources that they have. So, that's the church. Hope that this has helped. Next week we will be going over the shelled school, both the homeless and the raiders scenarios. What's in that little box that the homeless look after? You'll find out next time. Ta-ra.